Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Shadowile. Welcome back to another episode of the Monsters of Etheria Podcast. We do not have a special guest with us this week, but we're going to go back to our regular routine. We will be doing the fan suggestions, we will be doing the monster lore, and the item lore. There was an update. So I guess as you guys know, we are moving on. We are now on Saturdays, meaning I will be recording on Saturdays sometimes, depending on how my schedule works out. Either so that means I could be talking about the update that comes out, or if I record it on Friday, then do the editing, I won't be talking about the update. So today's one of those days where I am recording on Saturday, so more time to work with things. So it gives me a little bit more of a newer take. There is a new monster line out, based around a swordfish or harpoonfish. I'm not covering that monster today. I might cover it. I will cover it later on in another episode. A little thing to note: monsters in the game are now called Etherians, and the Etherians are now called explorers. So that could give an alternate perspective of things. So possibly, uh, Earth is still like habited by humans, and we are on space exploration. Uh, so Etheria is a new planet or something like that, and we are exploring that planet, discovering the new life forms. Or another thing that could happen is some sort of like nuclear reaction or some sort of thing happened onto a section of Earth that caused like a section of it to completely change, and a whole bunch of new like life forms and species are there, which would make a little bit more sense to why certain monsters are more or like resemble things that we see in like our daily life, not just our daily lives, but we see in the human world a lot more. So like Oincoin makes a little bit more sense. Why would there be a piggy bank necessarily on a alien planet that we know little to nothing about? So yeah, again, a little bit makes a little bit more sense, lore wise, where as we are exploring either a new planet or a new part of the Earth that has just been uncovered or something like that. Uh, Anyway, so shout out to Nilecapes. The monsters that you see in today's thumbnail are like he calls them. Well, they call them fusion monsters. So like they're like freaky, like parts of either different monsters parts of different Etherians now in the game, or like some sort of weird mutation that occurred to it that caused it to alter its appearance. So shout out to them for letting me use these monsters in the thumbnail. While I did not post all of the monsters, not I keep saying monsters, I used to call them Etherians now. While I did not post all the Etherians in the thumbnail, as you go along a little bit here now, I will be showing some of the ones that I thought were really cool that I decided not to show. I won't be showing them all because we don't have time for that. All right, so we are now moving on to fan suggestions, and the first monster is by. Sorry, I had to swallow real bad there. Is by MechanicalGamer, and it is called Frostine. It is a ice fighting type, and it's prime, so it would have a couple abilities here. It could have a couple of abilities. The first ability would be called Frozen Over, um, and it would be able to. The main premise of Frozen Over is to affect the monsters that have stat boosted or are receiving some sort of boost in some shape or form, and while I'm not saying it would be like haze and it would just like nullify that, when Frostine attacks a monster that is being buffed by something or is attacked, it will ignore the buffs. So it will take the normal amount of damage, or it will do the normal amount of damage. While that is a plus, that is also a downside. So if it is a monster that is debuffed currently, then it will still, instead of doing extra damage to that monster, it will do less damage. So it'll do the normal amount of damage no matter what, pretty much. So this is a really cool premise. And the crystals on Frostine's hands are similar to the claws on Warzard. So they would be able to be weaponized and things like that. Good stuff. Good stuff. The next monster is by Villainous, and it is called Sorcery. It is. I thought this was really cool. It is a witch doctor based. I was gonna say monster, but like a witch doctor on a pterodactyl. So it is a dragon cosmic type. And the cat, like, I don't know if it's considered a catchphrase or not, but the quote that goes with his "Doctor, do it to him" is in. After the I had to do it to him quote. It's really really cool monster. Not really a whole, but so like hold on, a little backstory. So it wasn't originally supposed to be like based on. It wasn't really supposed to look like a pterodactyl. It was supposed to look like a T-Rex. But Villainous decided to change it to a pterodactyl to incorporate the wings, so be a lot more easier to like memify it. So I do like this being like I do like the whole witch doctor concept. It does bring like we don't really have much dinosaur-ish like Etherians in the game. And you could have had this be like, I see this being a full out support monster, where it's able to heal and cause like status effects like poison, paralysis, burn, frozen, sleep, etc. All those kind of things. Be able to be more of a support where it can both. It has a chance of healing you and it has a chance of harming you. Something like along those lines would be really cool to see. Probably one of my favorites here today. Next up is the next monster is by Allexiaah, and it is called Morelia. Probably butchered it real bad, and it is a pure cosmic type. And it does seem like a celestial jellyfish. And it would focus around on having not high, but like decent HP. And some pretty good special attack, but it would be really bad on the physical side. So like its physical defense would be really bad, and its physical attack would be really bad. So I don't know. Speed though, you might be able to, depending on how good its resistance is, its speed might be able to make up for it. Since I don't know how fast jellyfish normally are, but since this again one of those like cosmic jellyfish. It could have like a special trait that allows it to like vroom through the night, something like that. Real play. I don't know, something along those lines. So the next three monsters are by Volcanic Viper 70. The first one is sort of like this might be racist. I don't know if like when I see this monster. Yeah, it's like a warrior and a swordsman, but it sort of reminds me of like one of those Arabic, like not Arabic, yeah, I guess Arabic, swordsmen that like just really good with weapons and whatnot. It seems like it belongs there. Really, I think it's a really detailed monster. It looks really cool. It doesn't really have a name and doesn't really have a type to it. But again, I'm not. I apologize if I'm offending anybody. I think this one could be like a Terra or a Metal or something like along those lines. Mainly because desert, I guess. Because it seems like this one has been like is like geared up for like weather, like a weather damage, something like that. So like a sandstorm might be coming nearby. The next monster by Volcanic Viper 70 is called Dream Weaver, and it seems like it's also like some sort of like wizard or sorceress. I would see this being a I don't want to say light. Either a light or a cosmic type would be what I could see it being. You know, one of those neat like I don't want to say voodoo, but magical beings. And I think what would be really neat is you have this thing paired up with Lullafairy. And so you have a dream catcher and the dream weaver together. And something along where, like, one puts you to sleep and the other one can, take your dreams and send it to the person that puts you to sleep. And they're able to harm you in your dreams. So not like physical, how people can physically harm you while you're sleeping. This one can harm you in the dream, and you take damage without them even technically touching you in real life. So along those lines, something like that would be really cool. And the last one by Volcanic Viper 70 also doesn't have a name, but it does seem to be like, obviously it'd be like an insect type. Insect maybe flying with, not flying, maybe wind with it. It's obviously a bug, some sort of bug thing. And I don't know if I want to call it a fly, but it seems to be like a ruler, so like of a kingdom. It could summon like an army of insectoids to attack your enemy. So like, what was it, Bug Buzz in Pokemon or something like that? There was a swarm move. I don't remember what the swarm move was called, but like maybe it could do something like that where it summons like a bunch of these mini bugs to attack the enemy. So it's really cool. All right, and the last monster is by plushPotato. It is called Sonatak. And it's the typing would most likely be a cosmic and wind, and it's based off of well, it doesn't really have a basing off of it, but I don't know. I don't say so. Like, I don't really know how to describe this. So it's a winged creature, obviously. It does either those are like tentacles or tails on the back, and it does seem to have like a gem. I don't know if the gem's the eye or the head or whatnot, but like, yeah, it's a really unique creature that I don't know how to describe because like I've never really seen anything like it. It's just a really interesting concept for the monster. Well, for the Etherian. All right, my bad. My bad. All right, we are now moving on to monster lore. So today's I realize now I have to change it. So we're now moving on to Etherian lore, and today's Etherian that we are talking about is called Spookum or Spookums and Scarums, and they are like sort of a Grim Reaper-ish type of monster. So Spookums, I hope I'm not confused. Spookums is the smaller one. It does have, when you're in the normal version of the skin, it has this gray hood, whatnot, glowing white eyes, and it doesn't necessarily have a scythe. It's like a miniature scythe. It looks more like a gardening tool than a scythe. Well, I guess a scythe is also a gardening tool, but like a miniature one, like one of those ones that you can hold in your hand, one-handed, just scrape the dirt and plants like that. And things like that. So, and then it mutates into Scarums, which has now a red hood, cloak, robe. I don't know what you want to call it. That it is a little bit cooler. The scythe has grown bigger, obviously, and there's like a demonic eye on the tip of the scythe, not near the top of the handle of the scythe. Maybe the scythe has grown into its own like demonish vibe. It Scarums now has claws and things like that, so not only being able to slash opponents, but being able to scratch some with like its hands would be pretty cool. I don't know if the redness symbolizes the amount of victims it has or anything like that. And pretty much what I would see this Etherian being like based off of, again, it'd be like the actual representation of the Grim Reaper, but if a ghost just decided, I'm going to take on this actual persona of the Grim Reaper and I'm going to scare people with it, something along those lines would be pretty cool. And today's item lore just happens to coincide with the Etherian line of today, and it is a haunted scythe. Uh, really cool looking scythe. It's you see like a sort of ghost just vibe around the scythe as it is, and it boosts ghost types by 20%. I think yeah, by 20%. Really cool. So I wanted to pick these two in particular. So there, I would say like once you like remove that particular scythe from Scarum's, it then is able to manifest its own little persona, and then if you're able to successfully tame that scythe, it becomes the haunted scythe and is able to like give you additional like benefits and things like that. Something along those lines. All right. Um, that is all for today's episode. I have been your host, Shadowile. We will be having another guest sometime this month. Probably not next week. Not entirely sure when I want to do it, but again, it'll be sometime this month. Um, Makes me wonder. So, like, since monsters are now called Etherians, uh, are we now Etherians of Etheria? No, never mind. I guess it does make more sense if we still would be monsters of Etheria, since all right. So since you're playing the game as either an explorer or an Etherian, and what do you call the monsters of Etheria? You call them Etherians, so it makes more sense, I guess. Um, Anyways, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. Share it with whoever trying to spread this with the community and whatnot. Um, and hope you guys subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao.